Thank you all very much for attending today's edition of the iMapInvasives monthly webinar series, where this month we will be talking about the various updates to New York IMAP's field data collection tools ahead of the 2026 field season. So my name is Douglas Knopf. I'm the Invasive Species Project Specialist for the New York Natural Heritage Program. I'm also joined today by John Marino, who's in the room with me, also on the iMap team. And we also have Fate Sewanyuan, who's going to be monitoring the chat box throughout the presentation. If any questions come up that you want a quick answer for, you can put them in the chat. Fate will get to any questions that he can. We'll also have time at the end of the presentation to go over any more in-depth questions that people might have, specifically relating to the work that people are going to be doing during the field season. A few housekeeping things before we go ahead and get started. This webinar is being recorded. Anybody who registers for the webinar or attends today will receive an email after the webinar concludes within the next few days. That will have a link to the recording on our YouTube channel, as well as any links that we mention during the presentation. Everybody's microphone is muted, and again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put those in the chat, or at the end, we will have time to have people unmute and ask any questions that they may have at that time. And with that, we will go ahead and jump into it. So the agenda for today, we'll go over a brief introduction of iMap and a few pieces of background information, going through the various data collection tools that we have. So our whole host of publicly available and invitation-only sort of collection tools, a brief run through of how you can choose the best tool for the work that you're going to be conducting, and then time at the end again for questions. So for anybody who is new to the iMap network or the iMap webinar series, what we do here is, so we are the New York Natural Heritage Program is the organization that administers the iMapInvasives database for New York. New York Natural Heritage Program is the organization charged with being the data collectors and record keepers for all of New York State's rare, threatened, and endangered species and ecosystem type information. And as one of the greatest threats to rare species in the state is the spread and establishment of invasive species, we also established the official invasive species database under the Heritage Program. So iMapInvasives is the database software that we use to administer this invasives database program. So we have various data sources that are contributing data into that database. We have our various partner agencies, so things like Department of Environmental Conservation, state parks, ag and markets. We have various community scientists and volunteer organizations committing data. And we have our host of different field tools that people can use to collect data for different management or survey activities that they're doing throughout the state. So all of this data goes into the iMapInvasives database that we kind of curate and maintain. And then from that, we are able to kind of make various analyses and different services that we can provide to the people that are conducting these surveys and management work. We do things in sort of like web map services, so our partners can have live maps of the data from iMap on their websites, email alerts for people to see when certain areas or certain species have new data coming into the database, built-in reporting tools for people who want to have, a species list of how many records for how many different species are in a certain area, things related to that. And then a host of different derivative analyses that we run on the data in the database. So things like prioritization tools, so you can see which areas might be at the highest risk or the highest need for conservation regarding invasive species, as well as our invasive species tiers, which gives kind of a ranking to the different species with how abundant they are and how important it is to conduct management and surveys for those species. One thing that has come up several times over the past few months to years is regarding the iMapInvasives host migration. So previously, iMapInvasives was hosted by NatureServe, which is the same organization that hosts most of the natural heritage programs throughout the US. They were also hosting the iMap database. And we have since moved from NatureServe over to Cornell IPM. So from a software perspective, Cornell IPM now holds the keys to iMapInvasives. They have our actual, database software. Um, from a user standpoint, nothing really has changed or will really be changing significantly. Like I mentioned, all that host migration has already happened with no major disruption to service for average users. As of right now, there is no plans to make any more significant changes during the field season, so there'll be no major changes to any of the field tools or who hosts them. Some of them are still sort of on the NatureServe side and will be moved eventually. But as of right now, nothing's going to be happening during the field season, and no action is required from any of our users at this time. So everything will still function the same way as it has been in the past, and will continue to do so throughout the field season. During the off season, sometime in late fall or winter, we may be doing some changes where things like the website URL to get to the IMAP database or the host for some of those field tools may change. And if any of those sort of significant changes happen that require user input, we will be reaching out to users to let them know of these changes. But for right now, this has been happening in the background and will continue to happen in the background. And then one more thing I wanted to go over before we jump into the actual tools and the updates for them is just a brief overview of how the data in iMap is structured. So at its core, iMapInvasives is an observational database. This is opposed to like a site-based database. So basically it just means data kind of comes into the database and is plopped on the map and sort of layers on top of each other over time. So if you're going to a single site and conducting survey and management work there year after year, you're sort of submitting data year after year, same location, layering on top of each other. So at first glance, it can look like there's a whole bunch of data in one location. And then you can filter down in the database looking at certain date ranges or certain locations, certain species to kind of get a good idea of when was the last data submitted, what's the most recent up-to-date status of that site. So a good example of that would be, you have a population of invasives that you're managing for several years and you're eradicated. So it starts out with a presence polygon, several management polygons on top of that, and then finishes off with a not detected polygon after it's been eradicated. So enable to, in order to see what's really happening at that site, looking at the most recent data that has come in for it, seeing that it's a not detected and knowing, okay, at this site, this species is no longer here. The data in iMap also kind of works in this sort of nested box data structure. So everything is kind of encapsulated within a larger shape or feature. So it starts out with a searched area, which is representative of the whole site that you're working at. This is usually like an entire property, or if you're doing a survey along a stretch of river, that entire stretch where you're looking. And this is kind of the large all-encompassing box for the information at that site. Within that, you can do things like create presence features, not detected features, or treatment features. And then attached to those specific ones are the species that you're actually looking for, managing, or not finding if you're looking for it. So kind of down here below the text is like a sort of a breakdown of what it would look like. So the searched area, then within that searched area, you have presence polygons, and within those presence polygons having species. So everything is kind of associated with a box above it or below it. So moving on to the actual data collection tools that we have. So this is the host of the different tools that we have that you can use to submit data into the iMapInvasives database. So starting out with iMapInvasives Online, this is the online map viewer where you can actually see the live map of New York and all of the data that is in it. Besides just looking at the data or exporting data, you can also submit data directly to the database through this platform. So if you have data on your computer already or pictures on your computer already that you want to put in, this is an option that allows you to do so. And then all of the other tools on this list here are our field tools. So these are the ones that you can, kind of set up, bring out into the field in wherever you're conducting your work, using them in an offline capacity, and then bringing the data from that back into IMAP when you have um, connectivity. So general workflow is to set them up, for that initial download, setting up the initial, species list, logging in, having your information sync up. That requires connectivity, the kind of thing you do in the office. Then you're able to use them out in the field, fully offline, and the information that you're taking in your whatever surveys or management you're conducting gets saved to the device you're collecting data with. And then you can go back into the office when you have, good service or Wi-Fi or whatever it is, and then sync up your device with the iMapInvasives database and have all of that information then show up in iMap. So we're going to go through these tools one by one, starting off with the iMapInvasives mobile app. So this is the most basic data collection application that we have. We usually suggest this for things like community scientists or volunteers who are just sort of, doing recreation and sort of reporting what they're finding along the way. So the major updates for this, as some people may be aware, there was an issue with the Android version of the mobile app that caused it to be unavailable in the Google Play Store for several months. This issue has since been remedied. There's a new version of the app. It is now fully available for download at this time on any Android device running Android operating system version 10 or above. So if you just turned on your phone for the first time in the past 10 years, you might not be able to download the app, but for anybody who has, a up-to-date Android device, you shouldn't have any problems. And with this new update, there was a couple of major content overhauls as well with the update. So the most exciting one of that is the type ahead or autocomplete functionality for when you're selecting species. So for anybody who's familiar with using the iMapInvasives online platform, if you're using the filter and you're typing in which species you want to filter for, as you're typing in the information, it kind of gives you suggestions as to what species are available. So if you type in like T, it'll give you Tree of Heaven or Teasel, things like that. That is now available for the Android mobile app as well. So instead of having to scroll through the whole list of species or set a custom species list, you can now just type in the species that you are making a report for. There's also been a fix for the error that was occurring with the geotags from photos. So one of the capabilities of the mobile app is if you have photos on your device in your photo library and you can pull those into the app, it can now properly read the geotag of those photos. So it'll pull the location data for where those photos were collected and apply it directly to the iMap record as well. So you don't have to manually set where the photo was taken on the map. There's also an update to the language with the error messages. So when you're first using the app and you're getting it synced up with your account, logging into your account on the app, retrieving IMAP lists, some of the error messages that would come through sometimes were a little hard to understand exactly what was wrong. The wording in those has been adjusted so you know if it was like just timed out or if there's an error with the username or password that you entered. So you'll be able to understand a little bit better what's going on with that. One error that is still a possibility that you might encounter are sporadic issues signing in. Like we said, this will let you know now, though, if it's just, it's trying to connect and it's having an issue doing so, and it'll tell you to keep trying until that works, or if it's something related to the actual login credentials. So if you're getting a timeout error and it says to try again, just keep trying until it works. Or try moving to an area that has better cell reception or better Wi-Fi signal. For the iOS version of the app, we're still in version 3.0.4, which means some of the capabilities on the Android app are not yet available. There isn't the type ahead. The language is still the same as it was for error messages. And there may be some issues with the map not displaying properly or GPS accuracy being incorrect. If the map is not displaying properly, but there's still numbers showing up in the latitude and longitude box, then there isn't an issue. It's still accurately getting your location. and it might be displaying the accuracy incorrectly, but in reality, it is collecting a proper location based on where you're collecting the record. So it may just look a little bit wonky, but as long as that data field is filled out automatically, filling itself out, then there is no issue there. And all the other features should be working as expected, and there should be an update coming in the next few weeks that will mirror the version that is currently available on Android. So that type ahead capability, the map being fixed, and the updated error messages should be coming to the iOS version relatively soon. So this is just a quick little example of what that type ahead capability looks like for anybody who wants to see it. So previously you would have to scroll through the list of species. Now you can just type into the box what it is that you are looking for or what you've found. So you don't have to worry as much about setting a custom species list for the species you're looking for. You just have to know what the common or scientific name of that species is, type it into the box, and it will give it to you. And again, this capability is coming very soon for the iOS version. So keep in tune for that. Check the App Store periodically for any updates for that app. And before you go out into the field to collect data, check and make sure that it is updated. A few more things regarding the mobile app. Just a few tips for how to use it out in the field. Again, when selecting photos from the library, it will attempt to automatically read the geotag. So if you have that enabled for your camera on your phone, it'll automatically be able to do that. If you've manually turned that feature off, it won't be able to do it. And you may have to set the location for your photo manually if you're pulling it in from your photo library. If you're taking the photo in the app through the built-in function, it will automatically take the location. We do still recommend that you take a look at the location, make sure that those fields are filling themselves in properly, getting that latitude and longitude data. If there is an error with it, if it looks like it's in a complete wrong location or the location isn't coming through properly, we generally recommend that you do submit that point still. So uploading it off the mobile app onto the iMapInvasives database. And then if you know there's a problem, logging into iMap on your desktop computer at home and kind of manually moving it there. It's just a little finicky to do it on the touchscreen, so we recommend just doing it with mouse and keyboard to make it a little bit easier. But if everything is functioning properly, you shouldn't have to deal with that. And then before you go out into the field, making sure you go into your preferences and do refresh IMAP lists to make sure that everything is up to date. Species lists are up to date. If you joined any projects or organizations, those are also reflected. So yeah, just a general rule of thumb, anytime you're going to go out and do surveys, checking to make sure that none of the IMAP tools have any updates. And then just to look ahead at some of the medium and long-term future development ideas that we have for the mobile app, splitting the latitude and longitude into their own discrete fields, automatic jurisdictional identification. So right now, if you are set in the New York jurisdiction and you go over into Pennsylvania and collect a record, it'll be set as a New York record, but be in Pennsylvania, and that can kind of cause some discrepancies that we have to go in and fix. So we're hoping to get that fixed. Saving your positional accuracy between records, multiple records for photos, additional data fields, and photo guidance for how to take good photos of certain species. The ones with asterisks there are available in some of the other tools that we're going to be going over in a moment here. But those are just some of the future development ideas that we hope to implement with the mobile app in the near future. So for these next three tools, we're going to be going over the General Survey 123 tool, the SAS Pro survey form, and the Forest Pass data collection tool. These are all forms that are available through the Survey 123 application. So this is a separate application from the iMap app and the iMap database. Survey 123 is an Esri application, and all of these tools that I have mentioned are their own individual forms that you download onto the Survey 123 application. So again, this is something that you would want to set up before going out into the field. downloading the Survey123 app, getting the form that you want to specifically use for whatever surveys or management actions that you're conducting, and filling out the relevant information for it. We highly suggest filling out a favorites feature for whatever tool you're going to be using. So basically, load up a new survey for whatever form, filling out the identifying information at the top, so your iMap person ID, your organization, your project ID, that kind of stuff. Saving that form, setting it as a favorite, and then for each subsequent form that you start, you can just pull that information in instead of having to fill out that information every time. It is also built into the form instructions on how to get this information. So there's a little help box for how to find your person ID and a help box to show you how to set the favorites. So going through each of these individually, starting out with the general survey 123 form. So there's two major versions of this. Well, they're both in the same form, but there's two major ways that you can collect data through it. So the advanced data collection option, also known as the classic option, is the one that allows you to set a searched area and have more advanced features within it. So this is the one that allows you to, create a larger searched area. So if you're doing a large survey that encompasses an entire property, you can set a searched area on the whole property, and you can collect points, lines, and polygons within that searched area for presence or treatment information. You can also set species that you are looking for, and if you don't find any of those during the survey, it will automatically create not detected records and kind of match that searched area polygon shape. There's also a simple data collection option tool, which functions more similarly to the mobile app. So the mobile app only takes point features, and this is sort of the same thing. You drop a point, it will be just that one spot. It automatically creates a little buffered searched area around that to represent kind of the nearby area. And that buffer will function as the not detected and treatment radius as well. So updates for this, the species list and other drop-down menus have been updated as of this month. So any species that have been added to the New York jurisdictional species list for iMap are available to choose on this tool. Both of these options are fully updated and ready to use. All of the options are color-coded, so if you're going through the actual form itself, the three distinct areas, or four distinct areas, I suppose, for searched area, presence, not detected, and treatment records are all color-coded, and all of the relevant fields are within those colored boxes. And like I mentioned, there is help text throughout to show you how to do various things like finding your person ID, setting favorites, and related actions. Moving on to the SAS Pro tool. So this is our Simple Aquatic Survey Pro tool. It works very similarly to the general iMapInvasives Survey 123 form, except this one is focused mostly on doing aquatic surveys for things like rake tosses. So lets you set the searched area and fill out relevant fields for the area that you are conducting work in. And then from there, you can take your various points at where you are conducting rake tosses. And this is sort of where that nested data structure comes into play again as well. So the searched area is that all-encompassing box. Within that, you are creating a feature for the where you're doing a rake toss. And then within that, you are doing the individual species that you encountered during that rake toss. And so you can have as many species as you encounter and have various fields for each one, photos for each one, and then conducting as many rake tosses in that water body as you would like. And then similarly to the last tool, if you set target species that you're looking for and they don't show up in any of these rake tosses, they will automatically create a not detected feature that is the same shape as that searched area. So this is just an example of what it looks like when you submit the data into iMapInvasives. So these are a few rake tosses that were conducted in Jefferson County. So the purple boxes here are the searched area where the people were conducting the tosses. The green dots are the actual tosses themselves, the locations. And then in each of those, there are several present species for what were found during the tosses. And then automatically it created not detected records for the things that they were looking for and did not find. This is a tool that we usually recommend for aquatic invasive species professionals who are going out and doing these surveys, or if you have a volunteer group that are conducting rake toss surveys, this is a publicly available tool, and they can use it as well. So just a few more things about this tool. It is ready for the 2026 data collection season. The minor updates, so things like any additions to the species list are usually completed by late May and June by the latest, but we will let partners know when these changes are complete. It is publicly available. It doesn't require any sort of a GOL online account to uh, access. It can be used by anybody. We still have the option for no toss points. So if you go to a location and you are planning on conducting a toss at that particular spot and you're not able to because if the water is too deep or something like that, you can still collect a point there. Then that is a field that you can fill out. And we want to say thank you to anybody who has been conducting reg tosses in the past and has submitted all of your data for 2025. If anybody has any remaining data that they are aware of, we ask that you do review that and send that in as soon as possible. We do have a automated review script that is currently operational for this data. So once you mark a searched area as ready for upload and you submit that through the form, we do run this automated script on it to check for any sort of errors or missing data fields, and we'll let you know if there's any errors that come through. And any data that is marked as ready does get put through this upload script and is uploaded into the iMapInvasives database kind of on a rolling basis. So as you are finished with your data, we suggest that you mark it ready for upload, and it will kind of go in as soon as it is able to. And then the last of our three Survey123 tools is our forest pest data collection tool. So for this, very similar to the other two Survey123 tools, only it is focused mostly on forest pest species with specific data fields for whichever forest pest you are surveying for. The current full version is still available, as is for current users. If people are interested in this form, you just have to reach out to us and we can get you set up with it. There's also still the rapid pest form available, which similar to the other tool, the Survey123 tool that I mentioned, the first one, kind of like the full version, only it's just a single point instead of doing multiple polygons. And again, for this one, it is just a separate version. So if you're interested in using this version, you just have to reach out to us and we'll get you set up with using it. And no major updates for that one as well, just sort of functioning the same as it has in the past. And if you are interested in using it, you just got to reach out to us and we'll get you set up. And then the last of our field data collection tools is the iMap Mobile Advanced, or IMA tool. So this is, IMA is a data layer that exists within the AGOL environment that you use through the Field Maps Esri application. So it is our only other map-centric data collection tool besides using the database itself. So you can see in real time where that data is on the map instead of a form-based tool like the Survey123 applications. So for this season, it is all ready to go for the 2026 data collection season. Only minor update was the species list is fully updated to the latest New York jurisdictional tracking list. If anybody has any lingering offline areas that you had downloaded from the previous season, we do ask that you remove those and recreate them for this season just to make sure that everything is able to properly sync up to the most current version of the IMA data layer. Another thing that we want to mention, so for anybody who is using the IMA data layer or any of the IMA data in ArcGIS Pro, so if you're pulling that layer directly into Pro or you're downloading IMA data and then putting it into Pro, we do ask that you reach out to us and let us know about that. There are a few instructions and tips that we like to give people just for that specific interaction, because there is, a few little strange interactions at this point that we like to warn people about beforehand. So if you plan on doing that, let us know. If you are just letting the IMA data get crosswalked over into iMapInvasives, the proper full database, and then using it, or then exporting it and putting it in Pro, there's no issues there. So a few tips for using IMA. So before you go out and collect data, we suggest doing sort of a mock data collection so that you can go through and see which attribute fields you are interested in filling out during the data collection, writing down any sort of necessary numbers. So like with the Survey123 tool, how that information can be kind of saved. We suggest that you sort of write down this information and have it saved somewhere else, having a little note on your phone or tablet, or having it written down on a piece of paper, or committing it to memory. But we recommend having it written down somewhere. Your person ID, your project ID, and your organization ID. So figuring out what those numbers are. If you go to like your project page on the iMapInvasives, like log into your account, go to your project page. In the URL for that project page, there will be a number at the end. That would be your project number. Same for organization. And if you have any trouble finding those, you can reach out to us and we can help you find those. We also suggest making any adjustments to your collection settings. So things like your GPS averaging, how often it takes a point if you are streaming polygons. So adjusting that up or down depending on how many legs you want in your polygon, or what sort of GPS accuracy you are dealing with at the sites you're collecting data at. And then a reminder that we do have the IMA help doc available in the AGOL group. So once you're added to that group, it's right in there, and we can also send it to anybody if certain people aren't in that group, or if you're using a organizational login and you want to be able to send that document to various people in your organization, you can reach out to us and we can send that document to you directly. And that just gives a few extra tips and tricks for data collection and data review. Tips for while you're out in the field collecting data. So making sure that all the data is associated with searched area. Again, that nesting box structure, starting out with searched area, going into that searched area to create a point, polygon, or line, and then going into that point, line, or polygon and doing associated species. Also important to make sure that all of the features are staying fully within the boundaries of your searched area. It's always better to kind of start out with a really big searched area and then shrinking it down later to the actual area that you were working in. So, if you're not sure if you're going to get to an entire property, just start out by doing a full searched area that encompasses the entire property. And then if you only end up doing a survey on half of it, you can always shrink it down later. Keeping polygons clean and simple. So this kind of goes back to the streaming thing that I've just mentioned. Having as few vertices to a polygon as possible. So if you're walking around a giant population of something and there's like 1,000 little segments to the polygon, can sometimes cause a little bit of hang up with crosswalking or reviewing. So just keeping those polygons simple as possible. Making sure that everything is associated with what it needs to be. If you're conducting a treatment needs to fall on top of a presence. Species needs to be there before it can be removed as far as the database is concerned. So making sure that there's a presence before a treatment, and also ignoring any sort of old taxonomy species that show up in there. We do mark these as old. So if things have taxonomic changes, if something is part of a new species or genus now, the old one might still be in there. Just making sure that you don't use anything that is marked specifically as old. And that will be right in the common name. So it will be obvious if it is an old taxonomy. And a few tips for data review. So while you are going through and reviewing all the data that you collected out in the field, in the office to make sure that everything looks good before you mark it as ready for upload, we do ask that you remove any test data. So you can collect as much test data as you want with these tools, or with the IMA tool specifically. But if you have like empty searched area or fake species records, we do ask that you remove those. Sometimes they don't always get caught on our end, and they end up getting uploaded into the iMapInvasives database. So just making sure that you remove any of those that you're able to. Review all of your data before marking it ready for upload. So once something is marked as ready for upload, we consider that good to go. And at any point, it could be taken off of IMA and put into the iMapInvasives database proper. It still does exist in IMA after that point. And if you make any changes to it, it's already been uploaded, so we might not notice. If you do notice something that there is a problem and you have to change it after it's already been crosswalked over, we do ask that you just reach out to us and let us know about any changes that you want to make, and we can help you out in that regard. Refer to the help docs for more tips on this as well. And again, reach out to us if you're going to be pulling any of this data directly into ArcGIS Pro so we can give you a little bit of advice on that. So for data review, the same thing with the sort of 1, 2, 3 form that I mentioned earlier. We have an automated review script that goes through and reviews all of this data to catch any mistakes. We send it through that review script once it is marked as ready for upload. So anytime after you mark it as ready, it could get pulled into that. There's no exact timeline, but with the use of this automated script, we are able to keep on top of it a lot quicker than we have been in previous years. So it will be a relatively quick process. If the review script finds any errors, it will put flags in the source unique ID field. So you can check back if there's any errors for that. You can also specifically request the script to be run on some of your data without having it crosswalked over. So if you just want to make sure that there are no errors in your data before it sends over to the IMAP database, you can put that into the automated review requested field, and we will just run that script and let you know if there's any errors before it gets put over. If anybody has any need for further assistance or specific questions regarding any of this, you can reach out to us directly and we can help you accordingly. And then one thing to mention about offline areas. So we mentioned all of these tools are able to be used fully offline in, sort of backcountry settings where there's, not great cell reception or Wi-Fi, obviously. But if you're in an area that's really remote and, there's like, zero reception of any kind, you might have trouble loading base maps. So if you're sort of relying on those base maps to follow ortho imagery or topography maps, instead of just having a blank white map with a little pin in the middle of it for your location, what you can do is download offline base maps so that you can still have that ortho imagery or topology that allows you to see exactly where you are. So we have a help document that outlines exactly how you can download these and set them. This is available for the Survey 123 tools and iMap Mobile Advanced. So yeah, this is very highly useful when creating polygons, especially around things like water bodies, because you'll be able to see exactly where it is on the map. And if anybody has any questions specifically with setting up base maps, you can reach out to us. This is a link directly to the help document. And I think there's a slide here in a second that shows you how to find that as well. So picking the right tool for your project, obviously we have a whole bunch of different tools available. So if you're looking for, really simple data collection tools, single point, single species, and very few additional data fields, that's something like the mobile iMap mobile app. So this is, good for volunteers or people who are just kind of going out and recreating and want to report any incidental findings that they come across during their activities. If you need a little bit more and you're looking for something that is, multi-species in a single point, if you're looking for more detailed data fields, or you want to take, lines or polygons, or you're going on, maybe you want to do management and actually remove the plants that you are encountering, something like the Survey 123 form would probably be better for that. If you're doing something that is specifically regarding forest health, so if you're going out and doing like hemlock woolly adelgid surveys or looking for emerald ash borer damage or things like that, you might consider using the forest pest form, which again has the um, polygon and the point versions for it. If you're doing aquatic specific surveys or rake tosses out on a lake or water body, we suggest using the Simple Aquatic Survey Pro Survey 123 tool. And if you're looking for, really advanced options that have map view for past records, if you're returning to an existing site and you want to add new information, or if you have a crew of people going out and doing surveys or management on a single site and you want them to be able to see each other's data as it's being submitted onto a map, this would be something like the iMap Mobile Advanced data layer in field maps. So for most of these tools, we do have help resources available, sort of instructional documents that walk you through how to download them, how to set them up, and how to utilize them. So these are available for our Survey 123 forms, the SAS Pro, the mobile app. The IMA one, we have to give it to you directly. So if you're going to be using IMA and you're looking for this document, we just ask you reach out to us directly for it. And that table that we showed at the beginning that had all the different tools and its capabilities, that table is also available in the help resource library. So you can get to the help resource library by going to nyimapinvasives.org and going to the training tab. If you just go to nyimapinvasives.org as well and go to the upper right-hand corner, there should be a link for help resources library, and that brings you directly there as well. Most pages on the New York IMAP site have that link in the upper right corner. And then from this table, you can just sort of look up the different help documents that you are looking for. And again, if people are looking for specific documents and they're having a hard time finding them, you can reach out to us and we can show you where they are.